I'm Tamara Thomas, editor-in-chief of UrbanHealthToday.com, part of the DocWire family of medical news sites, and I want to thank you for tuning in to Urban Health Weekly. Our goal each week is to keep you informed of the latest in health and medical news right from today's headlines. It's time to empower yourself with open conversations about your medical care with news that matters to you. So are you ready? Let's get started. We're going to talk about overweight and obesity, but I just wanted to ask if you guys had the chance, you heard of the Novo Nordisk commercial?
No.
I heard this it was a 5-minute commercial on a Steve Harvey morning show where Shirley Strawberry, she reads the ad, and it's called like the science behind weight loss. And it's this whole thing where they talk about disparities and food deserts and access and all this other stuff.
Okay.
And it sounds good, but when you really listen to it, to me, anyway, I'm not going to talk about the commercial itself because, they have to read it. But they didn't really say specifically in the ad. I mean, you know that they're advertising something because she starts off and she goes, "This is sponsored by Novo Nordisk." And then, so I decided to go to their website and look up, what they're doing. And there's this drug called semaglutide.
Okay.
It's the brand name is Ozempic. So it's a diabetes drug that's now approved for weight loss. And I think it uses the GLP-1, the glucagon-like peptide molecule to make people feel fuller, which in theory is supposed to lead to less food consumption.
Okay.
You with that,
yes,
right? Yeah. The problem though for me is that people don't always eat because of hunger.
I was going to say, I don't eat because of hunger. I mean, I might eat because of hunger, but I really get full right away. I eat because of cravings.
Right. People
so
eat.
Is it going to do anything for cravings?
I don't know, because a lot of the reasons it's like boredom, mouth.
Oh, yeah. Sensory input. You're just bored. Yeah.
Right. It's thirst. That's right. It's addiction. A lot of people, when they stop smoking, for example, because they miss that hand to mouth thing, they start eating more. It's sorrow. It's a habit. It's a reward. Mm-hmm. It's so many different things. It's not just
so many things. It's craving, not hunger. Yes.
Right. There are thousands of reasons why people eat. And I'm not.
Yeah, why does anybody eat dessert? It's not because you're hungry.
Exactly. And I'm not certain they factored all of this in, and people need to understand the reasons why they overeat first. And then they can choose better because they have more options and they have more mastery of themselves and they understand where it's coming. Like, you have to understand the why first and not just, I don't know. Science always has this way of breaking up the human body into pieces, but they still don't realize that everything about us is interconnected. And I think once they really understand that, then I think medicine in this country, Western medicine, will be better. So
I wonder if they use the word cuts down on cravings.
No,
I wonder,
they don't. They don't even use the word weight. They say, what is the word they use? They say something along the lines of, what's the term they use? They use the term
satiety.
No, not satiety. No, nothing like
Fullness.
that. They don't use weight. They use another term. They use mass.
Oh.
Yeah. So they say that people reduce their body mass.
Oh, okay. So they're using like BMI. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then on average, I think it's like 15% of body mass over 68 weeks. So 68 weeks to only lose 15% of your body mass.
Well, that's a lot. I think that's a lot.
68 weeks, that's like over a year.
Well, if you're,
I guess they're taking the position you're not trying. It's just you're going about your regular day.
170 pounds at the end of 68 weeks. That's a pound every 2 weeks. That's not bad.
That's a very manageable weight loss.
But do you need a drug to do that?
I propose that you probably don't.
That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot here to unravel. So let's look at the first thing, where we talked about that food is not really just because you're hungry, especially here in the West. For the most part, we're all blessed. There's a lot of people out there that's not the case. They're hungry, so they eat. But we're talking about people who are overeating here. So
And also I want to point out that sometimes it's not about overeating. Like all obesity is not about overeating. A lot of it is inflammation.
It's hormones. It's
A
I
lot
think
of
it's
it is
social.
endocrine
To me,
disruption.
right.
well, let's look at
And the
our
foods,
ancestors.
and what's happening is a lot of the food that we think are normal, healthy food, the body doesn't know what to do with a lot of that stuff and just stores it as fat. So in a lot of cases, it's not overeating, it's eating poorly and not really eating poorly.
You could give somebody a calorie restricted diet and just
But if
inject
the
them with
calories they're
insulin and
consuming are
gain
not
weight.
quality calories, it doesn't matter.
Yes, but also you can make somebody gain weight by injecting them with insulin. Right there, it's not just a case of like it is hormones. It's all kinds of things going on. So
Let's take it first. People are pack animals.
Yes.
So back in the day, when I was young and I was a caveman, we'd kill a buffalo, whatever. We'd sit around the campfire, talk and eat and eat and eat. It was dinner time, or whatever creature, or whether it's a harvest or fish or whatever. And people tend to do that. I mean, dinner time is social time. You spend it with your family and all that.
Okay.
Now, in some instances, it's by yourself. So, but when you do it with your family and as a group, again, nobody wants to be the outlier. I might eat less of that, but at the end of the day, the food's there. You eat it. It's there, and it's a little bit harder there. However, this drug, you're taking a program, you're doing all of this, you're kind of trained how to avoid those type of situations. But to me, a lot of obesity is cultural, is, let's call it tribal or whatever, or whatever, that we all get together, we all eat, we don't miss meals, because if we miss a meal, we feel that other people that socially eat with us, what about them? What are they gonna do? So
and also there's starving people in third world countries. We won't say the third world country names, but third world countries, children starving in. You
mean in Manhattan?
It's children starving in fill in the blank third world country.
Blah blah blah, and eat. So there's a lot of cultural things to eating, and in making and all that sometimes are a little difficult, and I think that causes a bit of obesity, especially here in America. The second thing is that these programs tend to take away your urges. So your urge to snack between meals is very important. Your urge to grab that bag of Oreos after everybody ate, and you're watching whatever, that part of you kind of disappears. That urge disappears when you take these drugs. So
supposedly
that's kind of a craving because it's pleasurable to eat. Yeah, that's why people.
Right, exactly. Because it tastes good. It feels this nice mouth feel. Right. And as you said, it's a social thing.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's what I'm trying to say is that.
But on the
there's a number of reasons why people eat, and it's not always because people don't grab the Oreos because they're hungry.
Yeah. See, the way these programs work, because these programs, there's a lot of websites out there that mention this. I'll actually, maybe we'll include a link or two to some of them. We're not as an endorsement. I believe one of them is calibrate.com that does it. They give you this particular drug that you're talking about.
It's the Ozempic, okay.
Yeah, it's given to you in a 52-week program. You have to sign up for all 52 weeks.
But you also get counseling and such, right?
You have to sit down and get at least half an hour of counseling every week. And what they tell you is, don't eat between meals, don't do this, don't do that. You report back on your findings, blah, 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 blah. In that type of environment, it does work. Over 100 people, it will work. Is it a guarantee to work? The answer is no, because some lifestyle changes have to be made. Yes. Just taking the drug and you keep eating what you're eating, that's not going to do anything. That's not what this drug does.
That's like smoking while you're on the patch.
Yeah. And believe me, there was some other drugs before that they had to get rid of. I think fen was one of them.
Oh yeah, I remember the fallout from fen.
Oh my God, do I remember that one? But at the end of the day, that you theoretically you could eat whatever you want, but your metabolism would raise to such a level that you would just melt the fat away.
Oh wow.
It's insane because really what it was doing was an amphetamine, and it was
Oh.
yeah,
Oh
it
my
was
goodness.
making you crazy. In terms of that's why they had to pull it off the market.
Oh wow.
In terms of that, so that's another way to there's a lot of different ways to fool the body.
Right, but should we be fooling the body? I think that's kind of where I'm going with this.
Well, sometimes
Because the body has wisdom. The body has wisdom. And I know I sound new agey and hokey and all that. I know. I know, but just hear me out. I'm just saying that done right, you can do this and you don't need to rely on.
But you know what? Your typical patient is 45, 50 years old.
Okay.
Have they gotten it right? No, they haven't.
Well, because people don't know.
Okay,
that's the problem. People don't know.
Now you go on this website, you take this little injection.
But that's not knowledge, because they didn't say that they did counseling. So they said that they did a 2021 trial with 1,900 adults with a BMI over 30. And they were allocated in a 2-to-1 ratio to treatment with semaglutide or a placebo. The treatment group self-administered weekly injections of 2.4 milligrams of semaglutide. The control group received the placebo in the same way. In the treatment group, participants lost on average 14.9% of their body mass over the 68 weeks of the trial. Those receiving placebo reduced their weight by 2.4% on average. So there was no other intervention other than they sent them home with the Ozempic and said, inject yourself with this every week, or I don't know what the frequency was, but that was it.
I think 15% is.
They didn't have any counseling. They didn't have any.
We're overweight. I mean, if you're overweight,
68 weeks.
So what?
I know it's I know you say half a loaf is better than none. I'm just saying that there's a better way than, and how much is this drug anyway? Because we're talking.
That's a good question. Because
that much. I think it's actually almost generic at this point. It's not that much. Diabetes drugs, for the most part, are not that much because there's so many of them and there's so much competition.
So you can find one in your price range in general. Is that what you're saying?
This has become repurposed. Once they repurpose the drug.
Oh, is this a repurposing?
Yes. It used to be a diabetes drug, and because that space.
Yeah. How is that different than like a metformin? Oh, I guess it works on something different. Okay.
Because it works on the GLP-1 molecule.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, what do you feel about like gastric bypass surgery, which is of course much more extreme, but it definitely makes people lose weight. I mean,
well, I like it is more extreme, but I prefer that because at least
prefer that to an injectable.
I do prefer that to an injectable because you have such a small stomach now that now you have to be conscious because you don't want to undo your surgery. And now you have to be very selective in what you eat. So you don't have the luxury of eating
around, but you can eat around. A lot of people who get the gastric bypass, they'll lose a tremendous amount of weight that they really couldn't lose before at all. But a lot of them gain quite a significant amount back. But not all of it.
How long?
Yeah. Well, after a few years, they go a lot longer post-surgery than.
So what's happening? Is their stomach stretching? What's going on there?
I know it's very complicated. They're not sure. First of all, why is it, for example, that some people, they have the surgery and then the next day they're off, let's say their metformin. The next day, because they take part of the fundus, part of the stomach.
Right.
It's more complicated than just the fact that they're now got portion control imposed upon them because their numbers instantly change. It's much more complicated than just caloric restriction.
Okay.
There's something else going on. It's really complicated. So, but that's still drastic. I mean, when you get that surgery, there's a lot of pros, but there's some cons too. I mean, you sometimes if you're doing the Roux-en-Y, you're now bypassing the stomach altogether, which means you don't necessarily, let's say you have like, let's say you have some kind of gastrointestinal stuff before. Now you're not going to you're not going to be able to take nutrition through the stomach as easily. It goes
Well,
directly
don't
into your
they make sure to save the intrinsic factor of the stomach, don't they? So that you at least have that digestion.
Well, I think it depends what kind of, there's definitely something, but it also depends on um what kind of because there's Roux Y, there's gastric sleeve, like there's a, but you're telling me you would choose the surgery over
Not
the
me.
med.
I'm saying if somebody, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't personally do it. I'm saying if somebody said, I can do surgery or I can do a lifetime of this drug, which,
Oh,
which,
I could see why they would do a year of that drug and then see if
but
they
you're
can
still
make
going to
changes.
run into the same problem. But you know why? Because there's no education about food. People have to be educated about food
That's
in
the
order
argument
for
some
lasting
people
change.
make. That's the argument some people make about like the bypass surgeries, or the bariatric
And that's
surgeries. Is you
and
get
now that you've
educated.
explained that to me, I'm going back to what I'm saying about what's going to give lasting benefit, and what's going to give lasting benefit,
Education
education.
about food.
That's
Ah,
yes.
all right, all right.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Lou, did you want to?
I, I ain't gonna cut myself to lose weight. I'm not a big believer in the bypass surgery. I realize that for some people it's life saving if they're
Right,
morbidly obese and
Yeah.
all that. So I'm not gonna take a position that
right.
it's an absolute ban. Um, I'm also of the feeling that long term it's a lifestyle thing,
Yeah,
not.
absolutely.
However,
Hmm.
however, I think that there's a lot of good to be said that I'm going to get a short-term boost. I'm going to get a 1-year boost where my BMI is down by
But in
15%.
the meantime, are you getting education so that you can keep those results?
I think that that's part of it. It gives me a 1 year to modify my habits. And if I'm
If
serious
you
about
know
this,
how to modify your habits, a lot of people don't know from
well,
what.
it takes a while. I mean, it takes a while
Who
to
is giving?
change.
Okay? If somebody's just saying to you, okay, you have to restrict your calories and you have to make sure not to snack in between, that's not enough, because if you're eating, if the meals you're eating are low quality meals,
Right.
then once you stop taking it, it's gonna be like Rogaine, right? Once you stop, the hair loss starts coming back. So you're gonna have to stay on it if you want to continue to get these results. And by the way, if you're artificially putting GLP-1 into your body, what do you think is going to happen to your own GLP-1 levels?
I think that's why this is a 1 year and done deal.
This was more than 1 year. This was 68 weeks.
Okay, a year
There's
and
only
a couple
52
months.
weeks in a year.
All right, so
Okay.
for 14 months, you're on this thing. You get, you lose 15% of your BMI. Let's say that's your goal to be healthy. I think that at that point, it gives you enough time to figure out how to do a stasis type diet where it's 2,500 calories. Because remember, to lose weight, you've got to go below that 2,500 calorie a day limit, more or less. For different everybody, it's a different number, but
Right.
let's just make it 2,500.
Which is actually very generous for a lot of the population.
Okay, so it's
Oh,
2,500.
really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think I have problems staying under 2,500. I find that really hard to do.
Just walk a lot, it's calories in, calories out. If you need to do that, then just walk 300.
Yeah, you have to
calories
remember
off a
that
day.
2,500 calorie standard, it's like the seatbelts in the cars. They're not designed with you in mind. They were based on a man's body. So
Right.
just remember that 2,500 calories is not for everyone. Like you see all these labels based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Even that sometimes, depending on your dimensions,
Mhm.
sometimes that's too much also.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I find 2,000 calories almost impossible to stay under unless
Well,
I'm doing
everything
it.
is so
Right.
so calorically high nowadays that
Right.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Right.
But go ahead.
No, so at the end of the day, my feeling is that there's a difference between losing weight and maintaining weight. I think maintaining weight is a lot more doable than losing weight. Now, there are some psychological training and lifestyle training that has to go along with it. You didn't get to be overweight for nothing, you know. However, in a lot of people, it took years. It's not like one day I woke up and it's like, what happened to
Right.
now? This
Yeah.
is a process.
Yeah.
You know, as I went from a size 38 to a size 42, I passed a couple of waist sizes there. You know, there was a process and there was some up and downs, but there were less downs than ups. I mean, yeah, less downs than ups. So at the end of the day, you know, you gain 5, you lost 4. You gain 5, lost 4. I think that's what it's like for most people. It doesn't just all come up at once. And to maintain it, if you do make it a conscious effort, I think it's a lot more doable than say, okay, just by diet alone, you got to lose 5 pounds. That's very difficult, or 10 pounds. It takes exercise, it takes willpower, and drugs sometimes help.
Mm,
Yeah, and I think willpower only goes, haven't we established willpower can only go so long?
only goes so long. And don't forget what happens when you don't have a stable BMI, slower cognition.
Right.
Now, what happens when we consume too many calories or nutrient poor foods or foods that cause inflammation? It's not always about overeating, as we just discussed. So let's talk quickly about the many ways obesity impacts your health. So let's look at some data. As of 2021, almost 38% of men and 41% of women are considered to be obese in the United States. That's twice as many people as 30 years ago. And right now, about 15% of children and teens are overweight. And that's 3 times as many as in the 1980s.
How many? 15%?
15% of children and teens are
Okay.
overweight. Yeah.
Mhm.
So 15% of minors. You know, weight problems take a hefty toll on the body and the mind, as we were just talking about. A healthy weight sets the stage for bone, muscle, brain, heart, and others to play their parts smoothly and efficiently for many years. Excess weight, especially obesity, diminishes almost every aspect of health, from reproductive and respiratory function to memory and mood. Obesity increases the risk of several debilitating and deadly diseases, including diabetes, heart disease, and some cancers. It does this through a variety of pathways. Some as straightforward as the mechanical stress of carrying extra pounds, and some involving complex changes in hormones and metabolism. Obesity decreases the quality of life and length of life and increases individual, national, and global healthcare costs. So the good news, though, is that weight loss can curtail some obesity-related risks. Now, let's look at some of the issues. Obesity may pose breathing threat for women. So higher BMI is linked to COPD and asthma for women during midlife. Premenopausal women with severe obesity had a 67% risk for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, while postmenopausal women had a 57% elevated risk compared with women of normal weight. Being overweight or having obesity increases your risk of getting cancer. You may be surprised to learn that being overweight or having obesity are linked with a higher risk of getting 13 types of cancer, and I'm going to list those cancers for you. Adenocarcinoma of the esophagus, breast cancer, colon and rectum cancer, or colorectal as it's collectively called, uterine cancer, gallbladder, upper stomach, kidneys, liver, ovaries, pancreas, thyroid, meningioma, and multiple myeloma.
Ugh.
So how can obesity cause cancer? Overweight and obesity can cause changes in the body that help lead to cancer. These changes can include long-lasting inflammation and higher than normal levels of insulin, insulin-like growth factor, and sex hormone. The risk of cancer increases with the more excess weight a person gains and the longer a person is overweight. The latest science is quite clear that excess weight can carry considerable health risks, including a higher risk of heart attack and stroke, says Dr. George Pletsky, Director of Preventive Cardiology at Harvard-affiliated Brigham and Women's Hospital. While there is no one-size-fits-all number when it comes to a person's ideal weight, men should not ignore significant weight and the implications it has on their future. That was a mouthful there. So I just, want people to think about this. And by the way, please don't send me hate mail, saying that I'm fat-shaming people. I'm not fat shaming. I'm just informing you of the realities of carrying excess weight. You know, there's this whole movement now, like you can't talk to anybody about, oh, you're fat shaming me. No, I'm not. I'm telling you that there are health risks to carrying this. It's no coincidence that obesity is on the rise and cancers are on the rise, right? It's no coincidence that young people now born after 1990 are more prone to cancer than any other generation cohort.
Okay, but let me just stop it right there for a second.
Yeah.
Because I was born significantly before 1990. As the old person. Let me explain this and then we can wrap it up. Because after this, there's going to be nothing else to say. This is my life before 1990. I was a kid, so when I had to go entertain myself, I had to run around, I had to play ball, I had to go do something that was physically active.
Right. You stayed out until the street lights came and then you went home.
That was an option.
I had 5 TV channels. And if I didn't want to watch what was on those TV channels, I'd go out for a walk. I'd find something to do.
I'd go to the playground, go play stickball or something.
Well, now I'm an adult.
Oh, okay.
There's only 5 channels, so I'll go out for a walk. I'll have a conversation. I'll putz around. I'll work on a hobby. I'll do something. Okay, this is my life after 1990. I'm a kid. I'm bored. I go to my room. I play a video game. I sit on the bed. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. I'm bored. Okay. I've got 258 channels plus Netflix, plus Amazon, plus YouTube, plus the Roku with 800 other things. And I'm going to sit there and watch my favorite series because God forbid I don't watch Ozark before everybody else and they tell me what the ending is and I won't be able to discuss it. And with that, I want to just drop the mic on this one. We have different lives right now, and those lives are the cause of all of this.
That's not the only cause. The other cause is the food. I keep going. You know what is it that Clinton said? It's the economy, stupid. It's the food supply, stupid.
Okay, the food. But what do you do when you sit on the couch? You eat. You know that's part of
both. Yeah.
People have sat on their couch for decades.
The refrigerator's a lot closer now. Maybe
that's true. Our homes are smaller now. That's true.
You know, like when you're out on the playground,
the refrigerators are bigger.
You know,
yeah.
You know, so with that.
You know, I was listening to Dr. Oz recently, and he was talking about how the big belly that people have is kind of an organ on its own. Did you know that?
Oh, like the omentum? Is it like the omentum within the stomach? Is that what you mean?
It's that adipose. It's that adipose tissue. You know, people have that like the giant gut.
Yeah, it gives off its own hormones, right?
Yes, and it wants to be fat. So I'm just saying that's food for thought. Food for thought, you know. Listen, if you are obese and overweight and all of your labs are perfect and your doctor gives you a clean bill of health, by all means, you can ignore this. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to us. But for the rest of you, this is urgent. Okay? Nobody's saying you have to be skinny. You could be thickums, but you've got to be a healthy thickum. That's all I want to say. And please remember, you only have one life and one body. So do your best to make it count so your years are full of life and full of health. Information equals transformation. So take these small steps and you'll see a difference. I am sure of it. That's all we have for today. Jackie, thank you so much. All right, so I'll talk to you next time.
All right, talk to you guys next time.
All right, sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Urban Health Weekly today. I hope you'll join me and my friends next week so you can stay informed and inspired to take control of your health. See you next time.